What's going on, Sideboard Podcast fam? This is your host, Caleb Williamson. Joining me today is your co-host, Tim, and a special guest, Joey Paladino.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up? How's it going, Joey?
Can't complain, guys. Can't complain, even though, you know, it's COVID season and everything. But how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Hanging in there. You know, just grinding out, work and all that stuff.
Same.
How about yourself?
Same old. I mean, doing the YouTube thing, doing the Patreon thing, trying to work here and there in between. It's kind of crazy, like I graduated college during the pandemic, so like finding steady work has been really tough. But I have like the YouTube channel, and I've been working with my dad, so definitely keeping busy.
Nice. That's good.
Awesome.
It's always nice to have something to fall back on, you know?
Yeah.
Congratulations on graduating too.
Thank you very much.
Dude. Bachelor's, or if you don't mind me asking?
Bachelor's okay. In social psychology.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm on my way there currently, so
yeah. It's okay. It's a grind,
dude, for real. Like,
grind don't stop.
I don't even know. Yeah. Okay, so for today we have a pretty interesting topic for you guys. We're going to talk about some of the platforms that you can use to play during these times of COVID and social distancing, and just some pros and cons of each one, and kind of what we play and why. And so the three platforms we have primarily are going to be Octagon, Untap, and then obviously over a webcam on Discord or whatever you like to play on. So Joey, what platform do you primarily play on for your online testing?
Majority is Untap. I wish it was Octagon, but it's mostly been Untap.
Yeah. Tim, what about you?
It's been a while since I've tested online or anything. But I think the last time we did, it was on Untap. I think I was trying to, it was after they did the update and changed a bunch of stuff on the UI. And we were trying to figure out all the new changes to it.
Right. Yeah. I think Untap's like one of the most popular just because of its simplicity, you know? Like, you just go to the website and it's right there.
Yeah, I love Octagon because I think it has like a really smooth like interface, and it's really, I feel like it's pretty user friendly and it just looks really nice. But having to like download it, and the fact that like on Shenron's layer you can't just like one click import your deck anymore, as opposed to Untap where you can, that's definitely a big thing that makes people want to go to Untap.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played on Octagon in a long time just because it's obviously more complicated and like the player base is smaller. But you mentioned that you can't do the one click because there's no deck files anymore or something like that. Is that why? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know like the 100% reason, but I'm assuming it's just because like, so I'm assuming whenever a new set comes out, right? Like whoever's working in the back end of the website, they have to somehow code the cards to go over to the different websites. And for some reason, like after set 10 and beyond cards, they just wouldn't port over to Octagon. So like you can make like a yellow baby deck, right? And if you put any newer cards in it, your older cards will port into Octagon, but your newer cards won't. So at some point they just stopped like keeping up with it. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I got you. Yeah, that's you know, that's one of the things with Octagon, like you're saying, is the curve, like the learning curve to using it is not exactly like the easiest compared to the other two, Untap and then like a webcam, which we haven't mentioned yet, but like webcam has other curves like the cost of entry and sort of that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But so if you guys were to say like a new player, right, and they're wanting to play online, and they were asking like which one to pick, what would you guys suggest to them as far as like just, I mean, I think Untap's going to be the simplest, but would you suggest that they learn, you know, how to set up a webcam and get a nice image, or even maybe download Octagon, or would you say just go with the easiest one?
I'd probably go Untap just because like if they're like a new player, I'd go Untap just because it's free, you know, like you can try out any deck without investing yet, and then you can figure out which deck you like. and then you can go like, pick it up IRL and stuff. As for the webcam, like you already have to have cards, you have to set up the webcam, which I think is like a giant pain. So if you're a new player, I would definitely recommend Untap just for ease of access and low cost of pretty much free cost.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Tim? What are your experiences with those?
I agree with Joey. I think Untap is a really great way to start. Like Joey said, you can test out whatever you want. It does also have the option of playing multiple card games. If you are someone who likes to put your eggs into more than one basket and play a whole bunch of different things. But I do also think that, especially, how the state of the world is, being able to have some sort of camera to set up and do something with is probably some degree of a necessity.
Yeah, especially these days with like how schools are doing things online where you have to do like Zoom classes or Google Teams, I think it's called, or any of those sorts of things, is like requiring cameras, and so it's like in a household as a regular thing nowadays, I think.
Yeah, so I think
that's definitely a good point. Like webcams becoming more of like a household item. Yeah, for sure.
I remember when all the quarantines were first happening and like the little Logitech C920s were being like, they were being sold for like $200, and it's like a $20 webcam or something like that, and I was like, oh my god.
That's supply and demand.
I think they're exactly. I think they're still like at least $60.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. But okay, so for a new player, general consensus is play on Untap. There's a good player base there. You can play other games if you want to, and it's also very simple to use. Is that what you guys kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I think another thing that also comes with trying to figure out how to play with webcams is a lot of people don't understand Discord well enough to be able to set all of that up within Discord and navigate correctly and all of that.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. And even though Untap recently like changed its interface, it's still all pretty self-explanatory. Like click on the deck, you get to manipulate the deck. Click on your drop area, you get all the different drop area options. So I think it's still pretty intuitive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so moving forward, I think this topic will be a little bit more on the discussion side, but for competitive, like Bandai sanctioned events, which format or which UI would you prefer? Strictly like your preference and not about like how easy it is to set up or any of that sort of thing. And then like a brief description as to why, even going down to like cheating and stuff like that, because I know we've talked about it quite a lot on the Facebook page and in our like team chat and all that. So Joey, what do you think about that, and what is your preference for specifically a competitive event?
So my preference would probably be Untap, but I mean it's tough to say just because I haven't played in any of the webcam events. Like I've watched streams of them, I've seen some of our teammates playing them and stuff. I really don't want to play in them. One, because my desk is a mess as it is, so I don't feel like really moving everything off to the side to play. But the other part of that is more so technical. Is like just for me personally, it is a bit of a hassle to set it up. I understand why that's the primary mode in which they play, because there's two reasons. I feel like one is they want to obviously promote people to buy the IRL cards, which they were actually doing when they tried the Untap tournaments. They still made you like hand in a physical deck list. You had to like take a picture of your deck and whatnot. And then the other thing I was made aware of with Untap is like for these 120 person tournaments, Untap just couldn't handle it. And I mean that makes a lot of sense. Those tournaments were super duper buggy, and you really just can't have that when you're trying to do like one of these ginormous tournaments. So I get the webcam thing. It's just not for me personally. But I mean, the problem there is with webcam and Untap, there's ways to cheat. Like webcam, I mean, we just saw like a tournament where that happened, very unfortunately. It's very hard to catch like your opponent drawing an extra card or manipulating their deck in some way, and you can't really regulate like, oh, your camera has to be at this degree angle, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty hard to manipulate that. And Untap, I don't even know how to do it, but I did see a video where it was explained basically, and this guy like, he's like, I know every single card in my life. And I'm assuming it's some code type of thing. Again, he didn't explain in the video how to do it, obviously to not promote more cheating, but he was able to do it time after time after time, basically explaining like, yeah, I this is how you can tell what's in your life. So it's just a catch-22. They're doing the best they can. I think the webcam events are probably where you're going to get the less amount of cheating, as long as everyone's staying diligent. So webcam is probably the best mode, but I mean, just my personal preference, it would probably be Untap or Octagon.
Yeah, and going along with that too, I think it's easier to speaking specifically on like the cheating aspect, right? It's a lot easier to prove, or even just make a simple rule of, if your camera freezes, then that's a game loss, or something like that, where it's a definitive, this happened, so here's the consequence, and not
right.
Like, I think you know how to read code well enough to like figure out your life and all this sort of thing. Like, how do you prove that, right?
Yeah.
So that's like one of the other things, is it's much easier to just have a set rule system with webcam events,
Right.
even though it is kind of, I would say, a very advanced like a level of difficulty to cheat on tap or something like that. What about you, Tim? If you were to play in a online event, would you prefer webcam, Octagon, Untap, and why? Just purely like your personal preference.
So I'm kind of torn between webcam and Untap. I haven't done a webcam event, but I feel like for like Bandai sanctioned events, like the equivalent of like what a regional would be, I feel like you should have the physical cards. But I've also not played in one, and you and I both, and I'm not sure if you have, Joey, but I know Caleb and I have played in Untap tournaments online, and that was a blast. But there's also like, there's something about holding the cards physically, and like I have a deck to the side of me that I keep, so if I'm playing on Untap or something, I can at least like grab a few cards and shuffle my hand, because it helps me think. Like, there's things I like and dislike to both of them. I do think Untap is just overall easier, but there are, again, bugs, and the servers can get overloaded a lot easier than Discords can. So there's definitely pros and cons, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to either one of them, honestly.
Yeah. Mentioning having the real cards, that was kind of something interesting that we talked about last week as well, briefly, about playing against someone's deck where they don't have like all the expensive cards, and that's one of the benefits, or it could be a downside, of Untap versus like a webcam. Is webcam, you got to have all the cards, send your deck list in via picture and all that sort of thing, and then
That's
Untap, you can play with literally anything you want, because everything's available to everyone. So I feel like maybe Untap will give Bandai, I feel like Untap and Octagon don't really promote like sales, really, like, and I know that's not the primary goal of Bandai, right? They want everyone to have fun with their game that they created, but at some point, for a business, it is one of their goals is to have sales of cards, and webcam events promote sales because you have to have the cards. So I wonder if that was one of their deciding factors.
I'm sure it was. I feel like that was definitely a factor. And I mean, I remember when people were trying the Untap tournaments, because they tried the Untap tournaments with like the TAC gaming event, and I think maybe one of the core events, and then they discovered that Untap couldn't really handle it. But like, people were getting kind of annoyed that they were like, oh, we need the IRL deck list. What is this? Like, we're playing in an online tournament. Like, what's the point of handing in a IRL deck list? But like, this is the game that you play, right? So you realistically should be buying the product to make sure the game stays afloat. I don't really think it's like a good argument to get mad at them for requiring IRL deck lists when, under normal circumstances, the game would be played with physical cards, you know?
Right. Like maybe if we had proxy events like they do in like Super Legacy Magic stuff, where you can like sometimes they'll have a league, we were talking about it earlier, but you can proxy like these super old expensive cards. But I mean, our game's pretty young and decks are fairly budget compared to other games is like really old cards that are like thousands of dollars. And so I don't think, one, there's a need for proxies, and two, tying into no need for proxies, you should just have the cards because they're not really that expensive comparatively.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I was the one who was talking about the proxy stuff for Magic in our local group chat. I used to play in leagues locally for Legacy, which is a very old format for Magic. It was, of course, unsanctioned because proxies, Wizards wants to promote buying their products. But it was a lot of fun. You know, we got to test out player versus player instead of player versus wallet, which
Right.
it makes it a lot more enjoyable. So, I mean, me personally, I'm never against proxying, but if it's for like sanctioned play, it should be real cards, or you should have to submit proof that you have the physical cards. Because like Joey said, if this were under normal circumstances, you'd be required to have them anyways.
Yeah, like if it's a local and stuff, and like, you know, there's a gentleman agreement in the room, like everyone's cool with proxies, like I'm totally cool with that. I think like, yeah, at a regional and stuff, you should have to have the, you know, the actual cards. Even that's kind of funny because I think like some people out there make some really awesome leader like alternate arts.
Yeah.
So like that, just because it's the leader, it starts in play outside your deck, there's nothing wrong with manipulating that. I would even be okay with like proxy leaders only because the alt arts look so nice. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm okay with proxies at like a local level, but I think once it gets to like the higher events, that's not so much something you can do. And yeah, I don't know, I just think that even though the online events are the way they are, I think requiring the actual cards is not that bad of a thing.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I
for
think
sure.
we all agree on that.
I part of me like agrees just because I put the effort into investing in all those cards. But even like if I didn't have the cards, I would still want to like, you know, have that sort of responsibility of getting the cards. You know,
Yeah,
Right.
I
it's
think,
like it's an investment.
oh, Caleb, you super froze on my end. You froze there for a minute in the middle of saying investment. That was kind of weird. Your face was just frozen halfway through.
I think you're back now.
Oh yeah, I was just saying it's an investment.
Yeah, definitely.
Buying the cards is an investment. You know, committing to owning the deck is like, it's like a psychological thing in a way for me, where if I buy cards to make a deck, it's like I'm going to play that deck and I'm going to get good with it. And if, you know, like if you could just proxy, then I feel like a lot of people would play decks that they're not good with, and they would just, you know, not devote enough time to really understand the deck.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's funny too, because with like, obviously we're in this online kind of environment. I feel like at, you know, the smaller IRL events we've had, like PPG's had a few of them, and then obviously we've had some of the online tournaments like 120 player plus. I feel like one of the things that was like limiting the popularity of Red Broly was, you know, how much astonishing potential cost, right? So in a funny way, the cost of that card was like almost keeping the deck in check, like not allowing it to be overly dominant. And who knows, like if it was like a common card or much more easily accessible, maybe Red Broly would have actually been like, you know, tier 0 winning every single event.
True.
There's
I always think
definitely a
about that.
possibility, yeah.
I always think about it like if everyone had access to every single card, but then like you'd go to like play style differences, right? And then I feel like the meta wouldn't really change a whole lot, because if you had an untapped tournament, right, you could have any cards you wanted, and let's say you didn't require a deck list, you could have any cards you wanted. I think the format would still be a lot of variation and stuff, just because there are things that beat Red Broly, you know, Like not necessarily 100% of the time, because that's just how aggro matchups work. Most of the time is, you know, if they just get the absolute god hand, then they're going to kill you, and it doesn't really matter what you're playing. But I feel like there would still be variation because of the fact that everyone can play everything, and people's play style. Then it's going to come down to like, what do I want to play?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's funny sometimes, like people. So I know some people that would like disagree with what you just said, because some people don't really believe in the idea of play style. You know, there's some people out there that are just like, no, everyone would just play the best deck, and like that's undisputable. But I agree. I mean, you could even look like Super Shenron. Like I didn't play Super Shenron in Super Shenron format because the deck was like incredibly unenjoyable for me to play. Like I didn't want to play a combo deck. I didn't want to play something that, you know, took 20 minutes on my turn 1 or turn 2, whatever. So yeah, I think playstyle definitely plays a big part in it for sure.
Yeah. Funny story about Super Shen. I'm like the exact same way, where it wasn't very enjoyable for me, because to me, I need like a deck that's challenging in its play lines to be enjoyable. And I feel like Super Shen, given it was kind of sequencing heavy, once you kind of got it down, it was on a different level than other decks, so it became a little easier to win. And so we were at one of our buddies' houses, and one of our locals was like basically saying, Super Shen's trash, it's not that good, whatever. And then I was like, Tim, hand me your Super Shen deck.
That I had like just never freshly sleeved in katanas.
Right, which always is a plus. But I was like, you know, I just shuffled it up and I just played it, and I was like, this is not fun, but I'm just going to show you why Super Shen is broken, you know. Anyways, that's just a little side story that was funny about Super Shenron.
I'm the odd one out between you two. I love combo decks.
Tim likes Degenerate.
I like to push the envelope. I want to see how far I can push things before the creators of the game decide it's not okay and do something about it.
Yeah, I get that too. At the same time, I think a lot of that happens in this game in particular is with aggro decks, like whether it's, you know, free playing too many cards or untapping too much energy. Like I think that's how that happens in this game, because I don't know, combo decks in Dragon Ball Super, it's kind of a weird concept. I feel like the only, well, I'm sure there's been more than one, but like the one that comes to mind right now is like AOD Boo from back during like Super Shenron format. Like that was a severe combo deck, because you're literally setting up like for a turn 3, like dump your deck onto the board kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I achieved the maximum potential of that at San Diego Celebrations. I looped the secret 3 times in one turn and milled somebody out with all 4 Janembas, and it was the most like disgusting thing I've ever seen happen in this game.
Yeah, so you can do like stupid stuff like that, or you can you know, obviously set up the go wide, kill my opponent on turn 3 combo. I even think Invoker is like a combo deck as well. Like at least when you go for the burn damage, like because you're trying to manipulate your catastrophic blows in the life, or sorry, in the warp, I mean, in the drop area, picking them back up, and making sure you can burn the adequate amount of times.
So it's funny that you mentioned Invoker, but I just got some mail in, and it's
oh no,
yeah, you were picking
Invoker
those
cards.
I think the only stuff
Yeah.
I'm missing for that are those instinctive reprisals. I never
They're cheap.
sold
They're
off
like $1.
any of it.
They're $1.
Non-specific DBS Market Watch is in effect.
Oof. Yeah, so just, you know, rewinding a bit back onto our primary topic for competitive events, we kind of feel like online format is good in a way, because there's like the stability, or sometimes there's the instability with Untap or like Octagon. I feel like Octagon is the black sheep of the 3 here, because nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it fell out of favor.
I don't know why. Like I spent the time when I was playing the old Dragon Ball game, the Panini one, to like learn Octagon, and it was great because I knew how to do it going into Dragon Ball Super. But then like nobody likes it, and it's not popular at all. But I actually really like the UI. I think it's very like simple. You know, you just, if you don't know how to do any of the hotkeys, you just double click something and it turns it sideways or like draws you a card or whatever.
Yeah.
But Untap's getting there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Octagon, but I feel like at this point, really no one even uses it anymore.
Yeah, it's just too high of a like barrier to entry. You know, you have to download all these image packs and keep up with each set. And you know, like what if your opponent like has a card that you don't have downloaded or something, and you're like, wait, I can't see what that is, and that sort of stuff. Just too much.
I totally was thinking of something while you were saying all that, and as soon as you stopped, it was gone.
Don't you like how that happens?
It's gone forever.
Nice. Okay, so final question of like the versus trio topic is do you guys ever think Bandai will come up with their own online user interface for Dragon Ball Super? And if you think not, why do you think they won't invest in that? And if you think yes, also, I guess you'd say also it's the same question. Why would you think they would invest in that?
I'll let you go first, Joey.
Okay, I think if everything stayed as normal, as in like, you know, COVID never happened and stuff, I don't think they would really have too much of a reason to do it. I mean, I feel like before COVID, like everything was on the up and up. Like, you know, event attendance was good. Product was moving, like card prices. You can kind of tell like product is moving well when the secondary market is doing well, and secondary market was, you know, really high before COVID and stuff. But I think now it does make a lot more sense for them to invest in that, just because, you know, we don't know how much longer we're going to be in this type of environment. And I don't know. I used to be of the mind that having an online platform like that might hurt the IRL game, but I think it can be done properly so that it doesn't do that. Like I know when Magic Arena came out, they started hosting like these big cash tournaments on Friday nights, and you know, Friday Night Magic is one of the biggest things for local game stores, right? So that's just a way to like slap the people that support your game IRL in the face. I would hope Bandai wouldn't do that, and I kind of trust that they wouldn't. So I think it can be done the right way, and I think it can be pretty effective.
Yeah, for sure.
So
what about you, Tim?
It's funny you mentioned Arena and the FNM thing, because I actually did a couple of them for one of our local game stores, and Wizards provided a special code to redeem that the stores would give out to their players. You'd have to register through your specific local game store for that FNM event, and the code would be for like the alternate arts in Arena for cards, or like avatars or things like that. So it's kind of cool, because then your local game store still got the revenue, because you would still pay the $10 or whatever. And I'm not sure if it included digital packs as pricing options or not. I'm not sure. Maybe just the entry was lower. But it was a way to like still support your local game store, which I thought was really cool that they made sure to do that, so that they didn't, you know, lose what was the lifeblood of their game ever even happening. I think another really cool thing they could do, and probably one of the things I like most about Pokemon, is they put codes to redeem digitally in their physical packs. And I think that's a great way that Bandai could both have physical card pack sales, as well as promote a new digital client at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. That could be really cool. Yeah, definitely.
That's a good point, because, you know, like Joey presented the idea of an online client creates this like dichotomy in sales versus online and in store, and it's an interesting issue, and like how do you tackle that? And then Tim kind of presented the solution of putting codes in the real life packs, and I think that's like one of the best solutions, and probably why Pokemon's top 3 card game sales in the United States or world or whatever it is. But yeah, because then you link your two together, and the sales, because I'm a business major, so that's why I'm always like sales, but that's just how I think, that you link them. And so that way, like, you go to, you know, Tuesday night Pokemon, play some games, win some packs, pull some cards, and then you get more packs online because you got some real packs that have codes in them. And so you take those home and you play online. And I'm pretty sure you can play on your phone now. I know for like things like Runeterra, you can play on your phone, which is like super cool.
I know the Pokemon TCG, their online client, I know it works on tablets. I'm not sure about phones.
Yeah. So anyways, it just makes it to where your one purchase has two purposes, and you don't feel bad for, oh man, I dumped money into the online client, so now I don't have money for real cards. And I think that's the key, is just make it so where the customer's one purchase does both.
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing to do. And like, there's no shame in taking like a good idea from another person.
Yeah, I mean, it's proven to work, you know. And also, like, one of the things I just thought of is it hits another targeted market, because like you have people that don't go to their LGS for anything except buying boxes, and then they go home and they play like with their small circle of friends or something, and those people are more apt to probably play online. And so if you give them that client, you secure their business essentially, and allow them to have fun with your game, and then maybe they won't switch to a game like Pokemon or Magic because you did provide them with that online client.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good way to go personally. I hope they do it. It'd be really fun. I mean, I just booted up the card game in Kakarot a week or two ago with one of my buddies just to try it out. It was actually kind of fun. I mean, not as fun as Super is, but it at least showed that they have the resources to do it. They just,
You know,
Bandai just has to decide to do it.
You know what's kind of funny is I was just kind of remembering this as you guys were saying that. I actually had a dream the other night that I was like grinding ranked in like some sort of DBS online client, and I just remember like having like an awesome time. So like if they did something like that where you could just like grind ranked, it would be really, really sick.
What if you could create a client and then like because there's like a whole bunch of unofficial ranking systems in DBS that people always argue about, and they're like, oh, this one's valid and this one's not valid or whatever. But what if like the online client, let's say they made one, had its own ranking system with its own tournaments, but then if you played in a Bandai tournament, or like a Bandai, if they started sanctioning like Friday Night Magic does, where it's like an official event, you know, your weekly locals or whatever, you could get points from those, and like that also counted towards your leaderboard type of thing. So you'd have to add a weight to that and all that, but that's kind of behind the scenes
both
stuff.
Magic and Pokemon have that integrated, because it's all tracked by like your ID number within their system, whether it's IRL or through their online client. So I think if Bandai does make an official client for DBS, that's something that should be on their radar.
Yeah, and we already have the numbers. You have your Bandai ID.
Yeah, it'd be super easy to integrate.
Yeah, you know what's weird though? We had that app for a while, right? Where like locals were being kept track of and stuff. I mean, some people were abusing it because, you know, they would just like buy a tournament kit and then just like get all the points and stuff. They never ended up doing anything with it, and they actually, I guess like discontinued usage of the app. But they did have something like that started. But I don't know why they decided to discard it.
Yeah, it probably comes down to, you know, COVID and sales and that sort of thing going down throughout all these times, which is understandable. But I think for sure that our general consensus is like, if these are the conditions they're going to have to work with for this foreseeable future, then they might want to invest in something online.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the the desire consumer wise for digital play to ever go down.
Right.
Just because like people just want to do more stuff digitally nowadays, and that trend, even in like the last, not even as far back as 10, even as far back as 5 years, has like exponentially gone up, and it seems like it jumps every year.
Yeah, it's just technology, you know. It's the same. They coexist. They're the same.
So Bandai,
Online client, let's go.
do it. I
Okay,
should have put a
so
Palpatine clip on that. Maybe I'll do it in post.
that'd be funny. Okay, so any final thoughts as far as the Octagon versus Untap versus webcam topic goes for any of you guys? Any final things you want to mention, or opinions, or encouragement for the viewers?
Yeah, I think it should definitely not be lost in translation that I'm super appreciative that like people are doing these online tournaments, whether they're webcam or whether it's PPG doing their IRL stuff. Like, just being completely blunt and honest, like when COVID started and everything happened, I honestly was afraid for the game's death. I honestly thought that, I was like, how is this game going to survive? Like, local game stores are all going to shut down and this and that. But I really think the online tournaments were a huge playmaker in keeping things going, and I think the community is as strong as ever. So I am very grateful for the fact that, whatever medium they're in, it's very cool that we have these tournaments.
Yeah, same from us over here. I mean, I'm sure I speak for both me and Tim, but he'll say something after I'm sure. But yeah, we're 100% like fully supportive of online events with whatever platform you choose to do it on, and I'm very grateful. I know I've played in a couple of events with webcam, and I've played in some Untap ones, and they were all a blast, and I think it's safe to say that like we do talk about cheating and stuff on here, but it's just to bring light to it, and the odds of it happening to you are like 1 in 1,000, percentage wise, and so it's not really that often. It just sucks when it does happen. So
Yeah, I mean, like both Joey and Caleb said, any and all TOs that have helped support the game during pandemic and close downs and everything, whether it's webcam events or Untap or what have you, all of us who still love this game appreciate it, because we honestly probably wouldn't still have it if it weren't for you guys.
yeah, and like one more thank you is like one of my, like, I call them like weekly ritual things, but like one of the things I plan every week is like Thursday Dragon Ball at my place type of thing. And like, I don't know, it's just been nice to have that keep going, even if we have to hop online or something like that, and for them to keep releasing product on like a normal schedule has always been great, and introducing new characters, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for a while we were doing a combination of like Dragon Ball, and then we'd like play games on the Switch at my house before I moved. But being at your house, it's been like Dragon Ball and Digimon, and that's it. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun. Like, we all love playing card games, obviously. But
Yeah.
Anyone who has a small, safe group of people that they would regularly play with, I think as long as everyone is upfront with each other, everyone knows they're being safe, and not putting anyone else at risk, I think it's okay to do that. Because, I mean, like we've said a few times, we don't know when this all is going to end, or if it ever will. So I think being able to hold on to or have some sense of normalcy in the little things is important for people's like mental well-beings too.
For sure. Okay, so that's it for today's topic, guys. But before we close, Joey, did you have anybody you wanted to shout out real quick, or say a little thing for?
Yeah, totally. Definitely shout out to the team. Shout out to CrossWorld. Caleb obviously is included in that. Caleb gets double shout out. Shout out to you guys for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
And shout out to the community, man, because again, without you guys, like, I wouldn't be here. These guys wouldn't be here doing their podcast, and the game is still going strong. So I really just want to shout out the entire community.
Absolutely. Alrighty, guys.
Well,
we're gonna. Tim's gonna do
our
some things real quick.
Yeah. Before we close out, because we forgot to do them at the start.
That's okay.
Professionals here, every time. Anybody who is looking for sealed product, we've got, was this set 12 coming out in like a week and a half? I think we're on 12.
Yep. Yeah. 12.
Check out both our sponsor from the podcast as well as CrossWorlds TCG for all your sealed product needs. Check out Madtown TCG. Great shop, great owner. We appreciate everything they do for all of us. They also have cool little knickknacks there too, as well as other card games if you like to dabble a little bit. Singles, both our podcast here as well as Joey, we both have our own TCGPlayer affiliate links. Feel free to use whichever you would like. It helps us out a whole bunch, as well as Joey, whenever you use any of those, and it costs you a whopping $0 extra, which is fantastic. And then
Hashtag bookmark it.
That's what I did, so I didn't have to remember it.
Yep.
And then we have our merch store, which we're going to be in the works of probably converting to a different platform pretty soon once I have a little bit of extra time off. Joey, I believe you also have a merch store up, right?
Yep, all my stuff is in the description of any one of my videos. So anyone
Perfect.
who wants to help out on my end, go right to one of my videos, go down in the description. There's a bunch of links.
Awesome. And I will link your channel as well as probably put a card up for one of your more recent videos at the very end of this for us. That way people can find you and find some of your merchandise as well.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think that's it, right? I think that covers
Yep,
it all.
Yep,
for right now.
That's everything. So again, Joey, thanks for coming on the cast, and we loved having you here.
My pleasure, guys.
It's
Alrighty.
definitely a good time.
Yeah, this is the Sideboard podcast. Checking out.
See ya.
Peace.